I'm CEO of Nutritional Frontiers, and welcome back to the longest running show, the Jamie and Joe Show. Welcome back, Mr. Joe Messino. We're excited today because we're going to talk about a topic that I still get a lot of questions on.
All the time.
And it's how to read labels, right? So I want to talk about food, over-the-counter medication, and then nutraceuticals, because I think for the most part, it's very confusing out there, even for people like us who've been working in this field for a long time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jamie. You know, you've done these on nutrients, on supplements in the past, and then it expanded. And now it's every single thing that you could possibly put in your body. You've got to read that label.
Yeah, and we always talk about if the grocery stores were not open, could you find the food on the planet? And if the answer is no, then it's probably not a good thing to eat. And if you do, eat it sparingly. So, you know, some of the best food in nature comes in its own wrapper, right?
That's right.
Take, for example, you know, you have an apple here. You know, it does have some naturally occurring sugar, but people forget it has a lot of good nutrients in it too.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right? You got all the phytonutrients, you got all the fiber in there. That's why I always recommend to eat your fruits and vegetables rather than drink them.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, the sugar is different in a piece of fruit. Okay, is there sugar? Yes, but it's accompanied by the fiber, and the fiber is the balancer. So yeah, total difference.
And the challenge right now is even if you're eating well, a lot of food's been depleted. I mean, it's going back from the time we were kids, right? You know, you look at some of the key nutrients, magnesium is down 90% in a lot of foods. And what's the number one nutrient deficiency we're suffering from?
Magnesium, of course.
Yeah. And that's tied into so many different things. Just think about cardiovascular challenges, right? Things like blood pressure. What about mood?
And it's also essential to vitamin D absorption, Jamie, another big deficiency that we're faced with.
So we always look at magnesium 1, D2, and then, of course, omega-3 is number 3. But most people are deficient in so many different nutrients. This is just an example of some of the things. And then you look at the number one thing people eat for breakfast. It's still cereal.
It's still cereal across the board. Right? It's followed closely probably by that bagel or that donut. But I think they're eating a healthy breakfast when they choose cereal.
Yeah, I think the challenge in the morning is that, you know, people are ready to go. If you got school or work or family, take care of the house, whatever it may be, people have that innate, you know, sense of I got to get going, right?
Yeah.
So they feel a little bit you know, behind the 8 ball in the morning, a little bit, you know, maybe late running. So they want something quick, easy, and what they think is healthy. So I think a lot of times people go for a cereal, even including like things like Wheaties or Cheerios, and they say, well, I'm having it with skim milk. And we look at it overall, they're lacking a lot of key nutrients. So what are some of the things that we like to see, especially in the morning? My big thing is you better get your protein.
You got to get your protein in the morning, James. You got to get your protein, but you also got to get your vitamins and minerals in the morning too. Because, you know, this is your first meal of the day. You're breaking the fast. You've got to supply the body with the nutrients it needs to get through an entire day.
Yeah, and I think the other key is when you start, the first thing you eat, doesn't matter if it's 6 a.m. or noon, the first thing you eat is information, right?
Yes.
It's telling the body what to do. So this whole hormonal sequence of events happens after you eat anything, right?
That's right.
So if you take something like our Power Cleanse, this has all the right food in it, right? It has your macronutrients, so your protein, carbs, fat, and fiber in the right ratios, but it also has the micronutrients, your vitamins, your minerals, and your liver support. So when you have something like the Power Cleanse, the information to your body is, hey, you got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Balance out blood sugar, right? Control mood, right? Start burning body fat. Whereas when you have a high sugar breakfast, such as cereal, bagels, toast, muffins, snack bars, juice, even fruit, what happens then, Joe? What's the information your body's getting?
The information is it's all sugar, 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 and insulin starts being produced. And then you get fatigue setting in because the insulin can't handle all the sugar. And your body's going through a metabolic process that it shouldn't have to go through in the morning. Jamie, look at these two labels. If that's the breakfast of champions on the left, what in the world is Power Cleanse?
That's it, superstar breakfast, right? Because, you know, maybe back then we thought that was breakfast of champions, but we've learned that it is not. So you need if you're going to do power cleanse, would be great. What about if you had to go to a restaurant for whatever reason, or you had to make some food? I would go with like a veggie omelet, right? And then maybe some fruit on the side. What are your
Sure. Yeah.
thoughts?
I mean, eggs still one of the most perfect foods. You want to get them as clean as possible, and add the vegetables in. The icon used to eat the boiled or steamed vegetables every morning, right? And everyone goes, "That's no breakfast." Well, sure it is. It's nutrient dense.
So I always start with a shake every day. About to have one right after the show today, and I like the power cleanse with the greens. I've actually updated a little bit with some GI Complete and the IgG.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going all in with the new shake. So it's a nice way to extra support for the GI tract. So what's your thoughts?
Well, that just turns it into a powerhouse. I mean, the greens and the power cleanse by itself, but to add in the GI and the IgG, wow. Okay, you're going to have a study done on your gut when this is all.
Well, we are cleansing the gut. I had some testing done. We all have some bacteria floating around, right?
Sure.
And I says, it's time to get this under control. So that's the first thing I do every day is I do the shake, right? So it's really important to make sure what you're putting in the body is the right information.
Yes.
Now, if you want to store body fat and have really low energy and a lot of cravings, then pump it in with sugar.
Yeah, well, if we were hibernating maybe for the winter, maybe you'd want to do that.
Well, I always say, too, that's another example of if you're going to have dessert, have it after the meal, right? As part of the meal, right? So if you can have some dessert, maybe you cut back a little bit on some of the starch or carbs you eat earlier. So those are all things you can do on the NF for Life lifestyle program. So food is number one. The second thing you want to look at is medications, because often people are taking these blindly, Joe. They never really look at this. Is an example of metformin, all the different information on there. And then you have the insert. The great thing nowadays is you don't even need to unwrap the insert. You can just pull up your phone or your computer and type in metformin and side effects, and it'll list them all right for you.
And again, we're so conditioned and take this drug without reading the label, right? And that's where we're going wrong. I mean, this information is there.
And look at some of the examples of over-the-counter medications,
Same
right?
thing.
It's over-the-counter. People think it's safe.
Yeah.
Take Tylenol, for example, acetaminophen, right? It says take under a doctor's supervision, right? If you have 3 alcoholic drinks, do not take this. And what do a lot of people take Tylenol for?
To get rid of the hangover after all of the drinks.
Yeah. So you got to be careful on these things. Just because they're over the counter does not mean they're safe to take. And all the surveys actually show the consumers of over the counter pain relievers could be acetaminophen like Tylenol, or maybe ibuprofen, the anti-inflammatory, and Advil. The consumers of these, Joe, are heavy consumers and chronic users.
Yeah, that's where it becomes a problem, because they can become a chronic user without getting a prescription from their doctor.
Yeah, and you don't know. When you start to factor in other things, maybe like all the trans fats in the diet is bad. You look at fried foods or processed junk that people are eating. Now the livers are already under distress, and then you add in something like this, which seems harmless on the surface. These were actually created as really strong pain relievers that should be taken for 24 to 48 hours in acute situation.
Right.
Not for chronic.
No, never for chronic. And you know what else? They're battling amongst themselves, right?
Yeah.
You get a leave. Oh, you only need one of us as opposed to 4 of them. It's incredible.
And you got to stay on top.
Every day they want you to.
You got to stay on top of these things. That's why we do so much education in Nutritional Frontiers and the World of Wellness. I know you've been dedicated to education for a long time. You're helping our team with training. You help with our clients and also the consumers. But something as simple as Zantac, right? We look at that as an over-the-counter antacid, commonly used, right? However, the New York Times put this out a couple of years ago. It says they're pulling Zantac from the shelf because the FDA found out that there were low levels of cancer-causing chemicals in samples of the drug.
Yeah, I mean,
how low is low, Joe?
If it was a cancer-causing chemical, there's no such thing as just a low level.
So exactly, I eliminated the low part. I just say levels of cancer-causing chemicals in sample of the drug. Now, this is something that's taken as an antacid, but here at least Walgreens, Rite Aid, CVS have stepped up and said they're going to stop selling Zantac.
Okay.
It was interesting when this came out because I was actually traveling that day and I was
Yeah.
at the airport at Hudson News. And what was right next to the checkout counter
Oh yeah.
was Zantac. Take this for your antacid so you can relax on your
Probably
flight.
in travel sizes, right?
Yeah.
That you could have on the plane.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's okay. So you got to be aware of this, but there are other options. I mean, do you know what our original formula was at Nutritional Frontiers?
Well, you know I do. Probzyme, the original, still the best. Can't beat it. And you know what? We've got a travel size of that too.
Absolutely. So this is a nice way to help. If you're eating a little more. On Sundays I tend to eat a little more food, so I take a couple extra probes on before and after the meal, and then right back on the program Monday morning. But you can use this acutely if you're bloated,
Yes.
you're eating a little excess food, something a little bit richer.
Mhm.
Have a birthday party, those type of things. So you can use it acutely, and you also use it for chronic use. How do you like to use it?
Well, I'll tell you what, like that travel size was one of the most brilliant options that you ever came up with. Nobody does sampling like Nutritional Frontiers does, right?
No.
But this travel size of Probzyme is perfect for what? Restaurants, when you're going out to eat. You're not in control of that food. Take the added nutrients with you. Take it before, take it after, just take it.
Yeah, it's a great way to start any day, taking a couple of digestive enzymes and probiotics. I also like to take it before the meal.
Mhm.
And sometimes even in between, you're feeling a little fuller than normal.
Right.
You're having a little bit of pain, bloating, indigestion. Take one or two anytime to kind of curb that right away.
You know what another positive side effect of Probzyme is, James? It acts as an all-natural sleep aid.
Oh,
Did you know
really?
that?
No, I did
Well, a
not.
lot of people can't sleep because they have acid indigestion.
Oh.
Take it before bed, and you can relieve that.
Yeah, I don't have that issue, but a lot of people, I guess, do.
Yeah.
So probably from overeating once
Probably
again.
from overeating
So
too late.
Probzyme can be used many different ways. It's safe for kids, pregnancy, seniors, toddlers. It's safe for anyone to
For
take,
everybody.
correct?
Absolutely.
And what's so special about the Bacillus coagulans in here, the probiotic?
That is a spore-based probiotic, Jamie. It's actually soil-based. It's the original probiotic. It's the one that we should naturally get from nature. That's and it's shelf stable on top.
Yeah, and in a chewable form, it can withstand any heat, moisture, humidity, light, and it remains stable. So very therapeutic formula. You have the combination of the probiotic and the vegetable enzymes. The vegetarian enzymes are really key because this is a dairy-free, gluten-free vegetarian formula. So very safe and very effective for anybody at any age. So we started looking at, food, and then we're looking at over-the-counter, right? And then we're looking at nutraceutical and, of course, prescription. I think many people blindly take what the doctor recommends.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not saying the doctor doesn't have your best intentions, right? However, you need to make sure you know exactly what you're putting in the body, at what dosage, and what is the benefit. Oftentimes I ask people, why are you taking that? Their answer is,
my doctor said to.
My doctor said, right? Well, they may have your best intentions, but you got to have a strategy in place, right? Look at something as simple as Lipitor, right? One of the top recommended and consumed medications out there. And there's different doses. Look at, you have 10, 20, and 40 milligrams. So someone can take 4 times the dose that you may take. And I know some people even take 5 milligrams. It's a very strong medication. Folks, even with supplementation, Joe, I always say take the lowest amount possible to get the best result.
That's great advice because you can always go up if you need to.
The challenge with something like Lipitor is some people are on 5 milligrams, some are on 40, and I've heard up to 80 milligrams.
That's incredible, James, because it's not addressing any lifestyle or causes of the issue.
And what is the whole goal behind Lipitor?
Reduce cholesterol. Let's just say they want to reduce cholesterol. What they really want to reduce is a low density lipoprotein.
Yeah, and they want to reduce, hopefully, heart failure.
Oh, that's the ultimate goal,
cardiovascular
right?
disease.
Prevent.
But it has not worked.
No, it hasn't.
Because we know cardiovascular disease is still the number one killer. We know it's still going up, and it affects, and also females these days. So look at the possible, this is not a complete list. See, it says effects of Lipitor, right? And so remember, your doctor has prescribed this medication because he or she is judged, they have judged that the benefit to you is greater than the risk of side effects. So
Well,
they are the judge,
I would
jury.
love to debate that with them. Yes, anytime, any place, guys.
And it says a very small amount. We don't know how many people that is, right? Even if it was 1 in 100, there's 100 million people on this. That's a million people, right? Mild memory problems or confusion.
Well, cholesterol is the major food for the brain. So if you reduce it, the production of it, you're going to affect the brain.
So it can affect the brain, number one. Second, it says it may cause or worsen diabetes.
Yes, it will. It's all involved in the insulin production process as well. It's a hormone. Cholesterol is a hormone, so is insulin.
Another problem causes muscle problems, including
Wow.
autoimmune myopathies.
Muscle problems. And that could be because in the same pathway as that cholesterol, where you're reducing it, you're reducing the production of CoQ10. And that's the number one energy provider for your muscles and your heart.
Yeah, we learned this back in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And what they said was that you have this enzyme in the liver called HMG-CoA reductase. Right. So it even says co in it, right, for coenzyme. So this enzyme makes cholesterol, helps your body make cholesterol. It also helps your body make coenzyme Q10.
That's correct.
So when you take the Lipitor, it can reduce your production of CoQ10 by almost 50%.
And that's mostly people in their, higher age groups who have already had a reduction just from age.
So what is CoQ10 involved with? Energy production.
Energy production.
Look at it this way, folks. Okay, you're in your house, right? Let's shut the power off in half the house.
So then what? What are you going to do? You're going to go to the part of the house that has the power, right? You can't use the other part.
So you realize that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
What if you cut the power down half of it by your township, right? You see where this can become a problem in the body. It's not a side effect, it's an effect, including things like kidney problems.
Yes.
Right? So it says may rarely, again, cause liver problems. So if you notice any liver enzymes elevated, you have any signs or symptoms from this, there's a lot of potential effects, folks. So you need to know what those are. And why not follow the NIH's guidelines, which is what the Adult Treatment Pathway Cholesterol Management says for the first 12 weeks. Do not use medication. Use lifestyle therapies, including things like Google lipids.
That's right.
Right? Fibers.
Right.
Polycosanol, all of which are in our Cluster Red by Nutritional Frontiers. One of our sleeping giants, because this formula is got the complete program in one. So you're not just taking one nutrient, right? You have things like the polycosanol, which works on cholesterol management at night. Then you have things like glucolipids and the plant sterols that actually help with cholesterol in the gut, right? Then you have certain vitamins that help with the production of it. So it's complete in that it has all the different biochemical pathways covered. Plus, we added one of the key nutrients that we need in there, which is CoQ10.
Yeah, it addresses elevated cholesterol levels from the standpoint that we should address it, and that is to prevent the oxidation of it, not stop the production of it.
Yeah, we have options, folks. Now, we're not anti-medicine by any means. It's just used in the wrong order, right? If you need it, that's what it's there for. However, we're seeing that there's no correlation with a reduction in cardiovascular disease.
That's right. So all these years, it hasn't worked. So why is it still the standard of care?
Well, I think it's the standard of care because people's lifestyles are so poor.
Good point.
That they're just going to say, oh, we'll let the doctor take care of it.
Right.
Folks, as we learn with COVID and everything else going on, don't rely on Big Brother to help you out when your health is in jeopardy. You need to take the accountability and the responsibility on yourself so that you don't suffer.
That's right.
And be relying on someone else just to get you through some of those situations.
And that's what we're here to do, is to give you those guidelines so that you can make those choices.
So we talked about food. We talked about over-the-counter prescription meds. Let's talk about something as simple as nutraceuticals, supplements, otherwise known as vitamins. Right? So, again, buyer beware. You have to have a strategy in place. You need to know how to read the label.
That's for sure, Jane, because it comes down to ingredients, sources, amounts. All right. When we do need supplementation in our diet because as we said earlier in the show,
Right there.
the food isn't there. It's
The
not
diet's
fortified.
variations, right? So it
Yes.
could be something as simple as the grow season. It could be that you're in fast food alley right here where there's I can see out the window there's every fast food in the world right on one road, right?
Right.
Then you look at the soil quality, right? So even if you're eating healthy food, it may not have the nutrient content that we expect it to have. You look at all these different things, especially if you're on medication because they deplete a lot of nutrients.
Oh, that's for
So
sure.
you take a diet that's really poor to begin with, you factor in multiple medications.
Yes.
Now you're depleting nutrients even more, and you're adding to the toxicity factor. And then, let alone, as you get older, this happens. So, you ever heard of Harvard Medical School?
Yeah. That's across my mind.
So, Dr. Kathleen Fairfield and Robert Fletcher of Harvard Medical School, this is back in 2002.
Whoa.
They said even people eat a normal diet may not be getting enough of certain vitamins according to their research.
That's true.
They says forget about with the elderly and those who follow restrictive diets often face the risk of vitamin deficiencies. Low vitamin intake has been linked to a host of illnesses. They recommend Harvard Medical School, regardless of age or health status, take a daily multivitamin. This was 20 years ago, Joe.
Yeah, it was. And of course, they were referring to a one a day kind of multi back then. We give them credit for recognizing it, but we can do better.
Yeah. So it's, you have options now. We have the Women's Complete at Nutritional Frontiers. We have the Frontier Multi. We have the Men's Complete coming out real soon. So spoiler alert, Men's Complete coming out real soon. So there's different options for you now to take because as you mentioned, Joe, there's factors involved. But this article acknowledged that vitamins for chronic disease prevention in adults. So if you do anything every day, make sure you take a good multi. And even if it's one capsule, the Woman's Complete, take a good quality multivitamin.
Right.
Because people usually take vitamins for overall health and wellness, right? They're saying over 75% of people take these. But Joe, this is what you were talking about. How do you choose a multivitamin? Well, we can save you the time and energy, but you should also be able to look at these on your own. So what are the three things we're looking for?
Okay, now you got to look at the dose of the ingredients. One of the most important things, when you see these cheap multis out there, Jamie, you know that the amounts of all those things are very small. And I've seen some of these cheap brands, they'll put it on the front of the label now with, like, say, lycopene or now with CoQ10, but it's like a milligram. It's not therapeutic. So the dosing is the single most important thing.
Number one is dose. Number two is the form of the. So the vitamins and minerals have to be in the right form for you to identify, absorb, and assimilate to actually do something in the body. And then what else in there we don't want? What could be something we don't want?
Well, they're going to have fillers. They could have dyes. They could have preservatives and colors. All these things that have no business being in a multivitamin.
So let's just look at our Frontier Multi. It's been one of the top multivitamins through the healthcare professional market for a long time. First of all, the fact that it's veggie caps.
Right.
That's the first thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
What's your thoughts on
because all the capsules used to be made out of gelatin, right? Even capsules were made, bovine source gelatin. This is a veggie cap that beats other capsules as far as breakdown and absorbability, and also the tablets that are out there that are these big horse tablet multis. Jamie, you can't break them between your fingers. So that means they're not going to break down in the gut.
And we use a whole food base. So that is a superfood blend of fruits and veggies in there as the base for the vitamins and minerals. The capsules are easy to swallow, easy to break down. So that's the first thing we look at. We have the RDA, RDI, and DRI. Really simply stated, what does RDA stand for?
Ridiculously dumb amounts.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Recommended daily allowance?
Yeah. These are based on really to keep people alive.
Yeah.
Not to thrive with the stress we live under in 2022. So take what's recommended. If it's a little bit higher, such as B vitamins, that's only because we need higher levels of B vitamins.
Yeah, we're under a little bit of stress these days, and the first nutrient used up, B vitamins.
Also, the first nutrient you'll find deficient in some of the cheap vitamins are B vitamins because they often cost more than a lot of the other nutrients in a multivitamin. Little industry inside scoop. So form affects absorption, right? So the veggie caps are one thing, easy to swallow, but the form of the nutrient really determines how well your body can see it, absorb it, assimilate it, and excrete it. So what's your thoughts on?
Well, I think one of the best examples of that are the minerals. Right. Because minerals are basically rocks. So you've got to be able to absorb those. If you see something like oxide in a mineral component in your multivitamin, then forget about it. You're not going to absorb it, right? So we went to a step further or two on that and made sure that the highest absorbing minerals are the ones that are in the multivitamin.
Yeah, so oxide or carbonates, if you see the first ingredient or any ingredient in the multi that says that, it's a good idea to what?
Don't take it.
Yeah.
Put it back.
Pass. Yeah.
Pass.
And I don't care what it costs, because the most expensive one is the one that doesn't work or causes you more toxicity.
Exactly.
And we have a basket of shame. So you should feel shame.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Put it in the basket and throw it out, because you know what? It was a bad investment. It's okay. I've started there years ago. I started with Centrum. I didn't know any better.
Right.
But over time, you start to learn and you take the steps further. And I guarantee if you looked at the nutrient content, ours is actually less expensive. So even the vitamins is important to form, right?
Yes.
So the minerals, you need chelated minerals. The vitamins are important. Cyanocobalamin versus methylcobalamin for B12. Folic acid versus folate for folic acid. These are just some of the simple ones we look at. It gets a little more complex when we look at things like other ingredients. So I always say if there's more other ingredients than there are ingredients, not a good idea.
Probably not a good idea. Yeah, and try pronouncing some of them too.
So why are they in there?
Well, they're in there because they're using inferior ingredients, and so they have to preserve them. They're in there because they're using inferior practices in how the product is made, so they have to use these binding agents to make sure that it stays together and it'll stay on a shelf for 5 years or more.
So simply stated, they're cheaper forms of these ingredients. They're not bioavailable, right? And hey, there is a niche out there that some people want the cheapest vitamin out there. I always say cut back on other things, right? You know, maybe you don't buy the most expensive car or cell phone or things like that. And when you look at the car or the Frontier Multi, you're talking 50 cents a day, Joe.
50 cents a day. Wow.
You know, $1 even at the third.
There's not a single thing you can buy out there for 50 cents a day, Jim.
And even the cheap vitamins are going to cost you probably that much in a day, right? So there's a lot of ways you can go. However, when you're putting things in your body for your health, there's only one way to go.
That's right. There's only one way to go. You got to go with the most respected. You got to go with the most natural form. You got to go with the best manufacturing practices, the truest form and dosages.
Yeah, because what happens now, it's the selection of the ingredients. Think about Mickey D's versus Capital Grill, right? They're both inspected by the health department.
That's right.
The difference is what?
Quality.
The ingredient selection, right? You get the really cheap ingredients, or you get more of the high-end ingredients.
So, and they allow certain amounts of these ingredients because they consider certain amounts to be safe for consumption. You know, like that pink goop that's in.
Look at all the other ingredients in Centrum for Women. This is for a prenatal. Right?
Oh,
yeah, unbelievable! Some of the other ingredients in there. So you look at Woman's Complete. It has 7 patented, research, trademark ingredients. We use all the activated vitamins so your body can identify, absorb, assimilate, and excrete. We use chelated minerals. They're chelated means they attach to a protein. Why is that? Because your body will absorb it like a protein. Right. Then we have the Women's Wellness Complex, which has superfoods, things like DMG in there, right? We have the probiotics, or lactospore. And you can do 1 or 2 capsules once or twice a day. You don't got to take 4 capsules at one time. So this is without a doubt the most complete female vitamin on the market.
Absolutely.
Have you seen anything close to this?
Nothing close to it. Good enough for a man. The guys out there too. So buy it for your lady. Take it with her.
And just look at a comparison, just straight up.
You like that, Phil?
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Look at the key ingredients, right, Joe?
Absolutely.
B12. That's one of the more expensive components of the multi. So you take Frontier versus Centrum. We have 33 times more B12. It's starting to make sense?
Yeah.
Ours is not 33 times more money, right? but it's got more nutrients in it. 12 times more B5 and B6. Well, you need those for your adrenal glands, for stress, focus, right? Maybe you don't handle stress. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Are you suffering with things like anxiety, mood, depression, anger, whatever it is? Well, maybe you need more B vitamins. Those are the building blocks for the neurotransmitters.
That's right. And you're not getting enough of them in your food. So whatever you have, it's really depleted. You have to support that process.
So we know we're a little biased. However, if you look at it straight up, the truth will set you free, Joe. I learned that a long time ago. And it's not even close.
Not even close.
The Frontier Multi and the Woman's Complete blow away these store brand mass market things like Centrum,
Right.
Daily One, right? You know, all these vitamins that are being sold as a cheap alternative.
Right.
There's a reason why they're cheap.
Yes, they're cheap because they're cheap ingredients. They don't give you the nutrients at the levels you want, and they're going to get too many other ingredients that are do nothing but harm. They should never be in a multivitamin.
So we got a couple minutes left. I just want to highlight and shift gears a little bit because, again, people are looking to buy a lot of things for their immune system. And if they don't know how to read labels, Joe, they may fall into the trap of buying really inferior things, especially through Amazon and those types of
That's right.
distribution channels. So we had so many people requesting our immune support, right?
Yes.
In this world we live in now, we need a healthy immune system. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when will you come in contact, not only with COVID, but colds, flus,
Sure.
whatever it may be. And what I find is that if you have the ammunition, right, at your beck and call, if you're taking these daily and they're in your body already, you already have your first line of defense elevated.
Sure, absolutely. And I think the biggest mistake people make with immune system, Jamie, is they think they only have to address it during cold and flu or D3D season, as we call it.
And it's too late.
It's too late.
Because oftentimes what you have is someone will say, oh, I'm sick. Well, how long ago? Oh, a couple of days ago. Well, how far can you get into the woods, Joe?
Only halfway. Then you start coming out.
Right. So in the body, you can go all the way deep and you hear it's got to run its course. That's what it means. It's already deep in your cells. Now you expect this to disappear in an hour or a few hours.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So you need to do is be on the immune formulas. I take one a day.
You know, that's a great point because on our immune kit, our immune formulas, James, if you took just one a day as maintenance throughout the year, you know, it'll last you 2 months. And you know what? And you know what the cost is? $2.50 a day for a full immune protocol.
They used to say that I get you a cup of coffee, right?
Yeah,
Maybe not these days, right?
Yeah.
So we got the immune kit put together. I do one of each a day. I take one Immunomax. I take one Buffered C+. I take one of the D. Then I add in, of course, the Super Zinc and Quercetin. I'm there because I'm taking one a day. Now, if I feel that first sign or symptom, for me, it's usually a temperature change, right? I feel a little hot, a little cold, getting a chill. I can tell right away, almost pinpoint it. And when that happens, what I do is being I have these already at my house, I start increasing my dosage.
Right.
Now, you don't got to go crazy, but just spread those out. And you can take from one, you can go all the way up to 6 of each of these a day if you wanted to.
You can. And I usually recommend maintenance one a day, acute go about 4 a day, see how you go, but you can always go a little higher. But at 4 a day, Jamie, even in this kit, it gets you a full 2 week supply. Full 2 weeks. And if you're, that's how the amount of time it's going to take to
Look
get
at
your
this
body
kit.
back.
I love the packaging.
Oh,
it
it's
tells
beautiful.
you how to take the products right there, right? We got everything in here. When you look on the back of the packaging, it breaks it all down for each of the formulations. It has a QR code. You can go right to the tech flyer online. And we really simplified it. We had so many people asking about this kit. We really wanted to make sure we got what people needed so that they don't have to think.
Yes.
And it takes all the guesswork out of it, right? So
You know
who
what?
doesn't
It's
need
a protocol.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
It's a solution to your problem with the immune, right?
Right.
So we have the whole kit right here. It comes in nice packaging. I would recommend you get this for your family. You take one each a day for prevention. You feel anything coming on, then you increase the dosage. Exactly. It's really simple.
And
simple and easy and cost effective. So you said it's about $2 a day?
About $2.50 a day. If you do it one person, if it's you and your spouse, it's still $250 a day, but you get a full month out of it instead of 2 months. So it is so cost effective. It's ridiculous not to do it.
And what I love is there's ingredients in here you're not going to find on
Right.
Amazon, right?
Right.
You look at Immunomax, it's jam packed. This is the
Mm.
foundation. Well, we want to add on the Buffered C Plus for vitamin C. What does the vitamin C do, Joe?
Kills viruses, Jane.
Yeah, it's a killer. So it kills viruses, it kills bacteria, right? We know that all the way from Dr. Linus Pauling's research, right?
Yeah.
What about vitamin D? How does that work?
Well, vitamin D is going to occupy the same receptor sites any invading viral opponent would. So the more saturated you are with it, the less chance it has to take hold.
Yeah, vitamin D takes up that receptor site of the parking spot, right?
Yes.
So it's like you go to a mall around Christmas, you can't find the spot. Same thing when the D is in the receptor site, viruses and bacteria have a difficult time binding and getting absorbed inside the cell. And then we have super zinc. Wow, what a great formula.
Zinc. Great formula. You got to have the zinc because zinc in your body will prevent the replication of it once it's already taken hold. So you can lessen the time.
Absolutely, the intensity goes down. Then we have quercetin, which is great as not only an anti-inflammatory, helps with allergies, right? It helps with inflammation, especially in the lungs. So
yeah, it's a great antihistamine, but it also helps to reinforce the endothelial lining of the cells, which is what gets destroyed during this thing.
Well, there you have it, Joe. So we helped you read labels. Now we have a key thing to help you and your family, the immune kit.
Question.
Oh, here we go.
Is that good for the common infection that's going on right now?
Well, it's good for your immune system. We don't know what you mean by common infection. That could be COVID, it could be cold, could be flu. This is designed clinically to help build your immune system up. So if you come in contact with any bacteria, viruses, we're not making claims, of course.
No.
We're citing the research. So this will be perfect to build your immune system up. So if you do come in contact, the goal is to prevent it.
Right.
Or if it does get in you, to lessen the intensity and the duration.
Right. And yeah, as we said, all of these things have a purpose. If you listen and go through this, we're going to give you the reasons that these are all important, but then take it acutely. Take the dosage up to 4 or 6 a day, and hopefully it'll help you to boost your immune system.
That's another question we just got. What's the dosage you do? I recommend 1 a day.
One
So
a day
you
for
have it in your wellness cabinet,
Right.
not your medicine cabinet.
Right.
Your wellness cabinet.
Right.
Do 1 a day. And if you're not feeling that great, or maybe you're run down a little bit more, you're moving around, traveling, you can take more. So you can go up to 2 a day, 4 a day, 6 a day, especially for acute relief for about 2 weeks.
That's correct. Absolutely.
So I know we got a couple other questions.
Good.
So what's the cost per day? I see that's another question on the board.
Right. If you take it for
But-
preventatively,
yeah.
it's $250 a day,
Yeah.
right? And stay at it's not a matter of cost per day; it's a matter of how long you take it, right? So if you do take it acutely, it's still $250 a day, but it's only going to last you 2 weeks.
Yeah, so this is a situation where you go up to that higher dosage for a short period of time and you come back down.
Right.
It's safe to take a higher dosage for a longer period of time if you have other underlying risk factors that you're concerned with,
Good
right?
point.
So
Right.
it's a great way to get everyone's immune system built up. That way, it doesn't matter what you're coming in contact with. It's another way to fight off whatever you're exposed to, right? Because maybe this year it's still COVID, and 2 years from now, who knows? Remember, it was the H1N1 flu that people were exposed to.
Yeah.
There's been things over the years we're constantly being exposed. We're exposed to hundreds, if not thousands, of viruses every day,
all the time.
right?
Exactly.
So we know that COVID is very highly transmittable, right? That's really the concern. So you got to make sure your body is being prepared so you can take these things on. Any other questions, Phil, from all the people listening?
No, we're good.
We're
Good
good to go?
Good.
Great question. So we got one more question. Is this available now? Yes, the immune kit is available at Nutritional Frontiers, or also if you're a consumer, World of Wellness. So these are ready to go right now. They're a great way to kickstart the immune system.
Absolutely.
And, it doesn't matter the time of year, what we're exposed to. It's always good to have a good boost for the immune system.
It's good. And like I said, don't wait for the flu season. Boost your immune system year round. Then you're better prepared if something should hit.
Well, thanks so much, Joe. I really appreciate all your insight today. It's a good one. I always like to learn more about the labels. And of course, we're super excited and proud about the immune kit. So get them while they're available, Joe.
Yeah.
These are while supplies
Get them while they're
last.
hot.
So take full advantage. And thanks for all the support. I look forward to seeing you guys at one of our events coming up real soon. Have a great